This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. Tasmanian outlaw motorcycle gang members have officially been put on notice. Tasmania Police today releasing new proposed bikie laws for public consultation, but they're already receiving backlash.
Tasmania Police stepping up its bikies crackdown.
We need to make every effort to make their life difficult so that they don't impact on the community of Tasmania.
There are currently 259 outlaw motorcycle gang members in our state, a number that's rising. Under proposed new legislation, 5 clubs will be banned from wearing their colours in public. Police also want to make it harder for bikies to consort with each other and say convicted criminals in outlaw gangs would be issued a consorting warning notice, prohibiting them from having any association with other convicted members. That notice would be effective for at least 5 years.
Certainly other states have introduced significant legislation around the wearing of colours and of consorting with motorcycle gang members. And we can be seen as a safe haven if we don't introduce similar legislation.
There's a fundamental violation of people's rights, and it shouldn't be tolerated here. The fact that bad ideas have been put into effect elsewhere doesn't mean that we should have the same experience in Tasmania.
Those against the law changes have 2 weeks to oppose them. Then the legislation will go to state parliament. The Liberals have already indicated they'll pass the reforms. Many in our community are not convinced on banning colours.
I don't see how that makes any other difference to people wearing their school uniform or any other type of uniform, because it just means they belong to one thing.
As long as they stick to themselves and don't cause any trouble, I don't think there's anything wrong with bikie gangs.
Club members couldn't speak to us on camera, but they are all against the proposed new legislation. Members believe it's discrimination towards them and what they stand for.
The right to associate with who you want to associate with, the right to join organisations and wear an organisation's colours are the fundamental rights that every Australian enjoys.
And this is not about people riding bikes. If they want to ride bikes and they want to be involved in those sort of things, they don't wear 1%ers. The 1%er badge is about that they're the 1% of the community who don't believe in the laws that we live by, and that they're criminals.
If the laws pass, penalties for those who break them would be for the courts to decide. Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian health authorities are preparing for a peak in demand in the lead up to the flu season. They've outlined a strategy including a focus on patient flow and staffing to help deal with outbreaks.
Construction workers are finishing off a redevelopment at the Hobart Repatriation Hospital, transitioning a level of office space into a subacute ward for patients.
We hope to have our first patients in here towards the very end of June and perhaps early July. We're well underway with our recruitment process.
This will provide 22 new beds just as the state is predicted to hit the flu season. It's one of the measures in a winter flu strategy released today.
Last year's flu season was the worst in living memory, and it really affected our workplaces and it turned up in our hospitals in a big way. It was a lot of pressure on a lot of people.
To help deal with that pressure this year, there's a focus on getting Tasmanians vaccinated, including health workers and young children. 13 new hospital beds are set to come online at the LGH and Royal Hobart Hospital, trying to avoid bed block by planning patient flow and increasing staffing for peak demand and expected sick leave. Nurses are welcoming the plan and hopes it solves their concerns.
There's already a significant amount of pressure on finding inpatient beds for those patients in the emergency department, and certainly sustainable workforce in terms of double shifts and overtime.
Labor says recruitment will be a key hurdle.
We know there are nearly 200 vacant nursing positions in the hospital system as it is. So I'm very keen to hear how the Minister is going to deliver enough new nurses by June to staff these 22 new beds.
Last year's flu season saw deaths at aged care facilities. Public Health has met with providers to ensure preparation.
We were focusing on encouraging these facilities to make sure that they vaccinate as many residents and staff as possible, that they deliver training on infection prevention and control to their staff, and they develop what's called a flu outbreak management plan.
And authorities say all Tasmanians can help by getting vaccinated. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
More than 1,000 homes and businesses in South Hobart are being told to boil their water tonight after traces of E. coli were found in the area's supply. The issue turning political as the state government uses the contamination to justify its plan to take over Taswater.
This family business just one of the many affected by the latest boil water alert.
It was very shocking. It was just surprising, especially for a city area.
The owners advised yesterday they couldn't consume their tap water due to traces of E. coli found in the supply.
If you want to do anything, especially when you take away shop, you use water all the time. What we can do? We can use like fridge water.
Taswater staff today undertaking backup testing to make sure the bacteria is no longer present.
No, we're not talking raw sewage, we're talking water, but it was not sufficiently chlorinated to get rid of all the bacteria.
Despite the company unsure whether the issue could have been prevented, the Health Minister has brought it into the political arena, saying it's all the more reason his government should take control.
But it does again indicate why the government went to the election with a policy to get the infrastructure fixed sooner and to bring our prices down.
There's nothing to say that a change of ownership would change the likelihood of these contaminations happening.
When we look into the full investigation as to the how, what and why has occurred, then we'll know whether or not this could have been prevented.
But while that plays out, thousands of residents are being forced to stock up or boil one of Tasmania's most basic supplies for at least the next few days. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A multi-million-dollar accommodation facility will provide a roof for Tasmanian youths living rough, just in time for winter. The state government hopes its new Devonport Centre will open late next month.
Opening a new door for homeless and at-risk youth. This $7 million supported accommodation facility includes 25 units, 5 which will be available for young people living with a disability.
It's not just about a roof over their head, it's about the opportunity to learn life skills and how to live independently out in the world.
The facility is being developed in Devonport TAFE's former student accommodation. Being next door to a training institution, it's hoped the area's youth unemployment rate will improve. A commercial kitchen has also been built on site.
If we can put opportunities for education and employment in the environment where people live, rather than requiring them to move into the educational settings to get a taste for that, then they're that one step closer.
This is designed to be a facility for people, young people to move through. The aim would be to have people here for no more than 2 years because we want to see throughput. It's not a permanent residency option.
Anglicare will run the centre once construction is completed late in May. But with Tasmania in the midst of a housing crisis, this is only part of the solution.
We absolutely need to see a rise in the supply of housing, and we'll be working in those strategies on securing short-term accommodation options.
The state government hopes to build almost 2,500 new homes in the next 8 years. Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
A 20-year-old man has died following a head-on crash between his motorbike and a car in Glenorchy on Sunday. The crash occurred at the intersection of Tolosa Street and Clydesdale Avenue just after 6 p.m. The rider was rushed to the Royal Hobart Hospital in a critical condition, but Tasmania Police today released a statement saying he had died as a result of his injuries. Tributes from his family and friends have since been placed at the scene. The crash brings the state's road toll to 12 for this year. The cause is still under investigation. The coroner is urging boat owners to fit carbon monoxide detectors to enclosed cabins in the wake of 2 tragic and avoidable deaths. Brian Owen Daly and Gregory John Burling were found dead on a boat at Prince of Wales Bay in January 2016. The coroner found they died from carbon monoxide poisoning caused by a poorly installed generator with a homemade exhaust extension. Coroner Cooper recommends boat owners follow manufacturers' instructions when installing generators and fit carbon monoxide detectors to enclosed cabins. The first of 99 locally built metro buses are about to enter service after rolling off the production line in Wynyard. 3 new buses are expected to be built at Elphinstone's factory each month to replace the state's ageing fleet. The models are based off a prototype which was revealed back in November. The state government is investing $31 million into the project. The latest figures from Domain show Hobart's house price increases are the strongest of the state capitals. Median prices reached a record high of $450,000, which is a 2.7% increase for the March quarter and a 15.5% hike from 2017. But units are lagging behind, falling 5.7% in the latest quarter. Domain says house price growth is set to continue in the coming months until more supply comes online. Tasmanians should start warming up their vocal cords with the Festival of Voices just around the corner. The event's program was released today with audiences set to be impressed by a host of acts flocking to our shores.
There's a lot of new things we're doing this year. We've got obviously some big international acts coming in for the first time in Tasmania. Ladysmith Black Mambazo is one of the big ones.
Frank Sultana and Mental as Anything will play on the festival's opening night.
My style is sort of dark Mississippi Delta blues kind of vibe.
Events will be held at venues in Hobart and along the state's east coast from the end of June. Tasmanian businesses and producers have come together in the fight against motor neuron disease, raising thousands of dollars at a fundraiser luncheon today. In the kitchen, celebrity chef Massimo Mele used ingredients donated by local growers, while various guests donated their time to the cause. 19-year-old Georgia Baker spoke at the function about her mother, who has been diagnosed with the condition.
Very heartwarming for Mum to know that there's so much care, and because there wasn't really much. A few years ago there wasn't anything on MND. No one knew what it was, there was no awareness, there was no money for it, there was nothing sort of happening. And with the Neil Danaher influence and all this influence, all these fundraisers and all that, there's been so much awareness and money raised, and it's really looking up.
MND affects more than 2,000 people nationwide. All money raised today will go to MND Tasmania. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed lower, dragged down by the big 4 banks after UBS downgraded Westpac in a report that questioned the quality of the lender's mortgage book. The ASX 200 index fell 10.8 points. Short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.7 US cents and 107.25 New Zealand cents.
There's been a bizarre and farcical twist just 24 hours out from the Luke Jackson fight in Hobart, with his opponent unable to catch his flight out from South America. The bout is still set to go ahead, with Jackson's promoter managing to track down a last-minute opponent. The fight was supposed to be a vital stepping stone towards Jackson's dream of a world featherweight title shot, but a single phone call turned the whole situation on its head.
Yesterday morning, unfortunately, I received the news that Javier Herrera didn't make his flight from Buenos Aires.
It's understood the Argentinian opponent had visa issues trying to leave the country, forcing Jackson's promoter to lock in a last-minute replacement in an unranked Thai fighter, and meaning tomorrow night's bout may not count for world featherweight ranking points.
It's not what we wanted. It's not what we'd advertised. It's not what we'd promised. It's certainly not what Luke wanted.
I was very angry. I've put a lot of work into this camp.
Jackson still remains adamant he'll get his title shot eventually, but his standing by claims that his first professional loss will be the end of his career.
When am I going to get my chance? But look, we've been promised many things, but I think that my team have some big news coming after this fight.
Tomorrow night's undercards will still go ahead as planned, including the Australian cruiserweight title fight between Jaden Joseph and Uriah Afamasaga. Doors open at 6:30 tomorrow night at the Rest Point Casino, with the first fight scheduled for 7:30. After leading North Launceston to TSL Premiership glory last year, Tom Couch will once again don the red and black this weekend, returning for the side's clash against North Hobart, with the young D side desperate to avoid another whitewash. He was one of the Bombers' best in 2017 and by all accounts can't wait to get back playing with his old teammates.
He's a quality football player, and if we can get quality players involved in our competition, I think it gives a lift for people outside of the four walls of a footy club that gets people through the gates.
The reigning premiers are hoping Couch will be available for up to 10 games throughout the season and potentially finals depending on his availability, while accuracy on goal has been a priority for the group this week after missing the middle of the sticks 21 times last weekend.
Goal kicking was one of the focuses, and for a few of the boys it was taking actual mark inside 50. That was nice.
Following their hard-fought win over Clarence, the Bombers will rest skipper Brad Cox-Goodyear for Saturday's match against North Hobart, who are coming off an 87-point hiding at the hands of Glenorchy.
And every week's an opportunity. Again, North Flannery this week, a lot of great players in their side, and we just welcome the opportunity to play against the best in the TSL.
Skipper Hugh Williams is expected to be out for 2 weeks after sustaining a brutal head knock. And despite the young side's horror start to the season, the D's assistant coach says the squad is buying into the club's long-term plan.
We've showed glimpses this year, but I think as they learn and they understand each other and play together a little bit more, some of the younger boys like the Cliffords and the Collins that have been and the Reeves that have been really outstanding, 16, 17-year-old kids, are really going to shine through at the end of the year.
The match begins at 2 p.m. on Saturday at North Hobart Oval. Launceston Tornado fans can expect a physical brand of basketball from returning star Lauren Mansfield. The point guard says the tough tactics used in Poland could become a handy weapon in the Seaball.
A season in Eastern Europe was a shock to the system for Lauren Mansfield.
It's a lot more physical, I feel, and I kind of struggled with that. That's something I wasn't really used to. I feel like in Australia, it's definitely, not as physical.
But it's a style which could be incorporated into Mansfield's game, which he returns for the Tawns against Sandringham tomorrow night. The 28-year-old has kept up with the side's 1 win, 3 loss start to the season from afar.
Getting the win against Ballarat was huge for everyone's confidence, and probably takes a bit of pressure off as well.
Mansfield was the club's second highest point scorer last season. She would need to adapt to yet another coach. Now Derek Washington is at the helm.
I think his style is different, but I think it's going to suit the way I play.
The Hobart Chargers are looking to make amends after going down to Sandringham last week. Players admit they were pushed around.
And after watching the film, we're quite disappointed in ourselves, seeing how easily we were pushed around, so I think we'll come out firing and a bit more aggressive.
All the teams have gotten better in this league, so we need to step up what we're doing.
While the men's side is going for 2 from 2 against the Sabres.
It'll be hard beating them twice, but I think if we come out aggressive, as we've been speaking about, we should be fine.
We've got to win some games at home. We've got 7 out of our next 8 on our home floor, and we've got to make sure that we win those.
Sandringham will also come up against the Northwest Thunder in Ulverston tomorrow night. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Karana will be looking to establish themselves as a contender this state netball league season when they take on a winless OHA team in Hobart tomorrow night, with the side set to welcome back several big guns for the clash.
And then the following week we travel up to Devonport and Burnie, so the next 3 games are really important for us to really consolidate on our game.
Well, the Cavaliers will hit the road on Saturday up against ladder-leading Arrows in St Helens.
This weekend we're really looking forward to see where we stack up against a stronger side and hopefully some improvements are made and get close to a win. That'd be really good.
In the weekend's other games, Cripps take on Burnie on Saturday, with the Hawks facing off against Devonport. Tasmanian cyclist Will Clark continues to prove his worth on the sports world stage, managing to get an early breakaway before gaining a 4-minute advantage on the peloton during stage 1 of the Tour de Romandie in Switzerland overnight. Clark dominated the intermediate sprints and is now sitting in second place in the sprinters' green jersey competition, while fellow Tasmanian Richie Port moved up from 18th to 10th in the general classification.
Good evening. First up tonight, during World Autism Awareness Month, we're lending a hand to Hugo, a Tasmanian-based charity doing a lot of work this month. We hope you can help them out as well. Today around the state, Hobart and Burnie recorded 17 degrees, 18 the top in Launceston, while St Helens the high today with 20 degrees. Temperatures sat between 1 and 4 below average. Showers over the west and south. Warra the top fall with 11 millimetres. Smithton and the Bass Strait Islands all 17 degrees, Low Head and Ouse 16, Grove and Strawn 15 today, Weenie 8 degrees. Now, a cold front brought the cloud that brought the showers to western areas today. There is low-level convective cloud creeping right across the state as well. And the main front moved off over the Tasman Sea as another approaches Western Australia, and you can see the cloud building there. That's followed by a cold pool of air, still a long way off. Tropical moisture though in a jet stream is over central areas, while the cloud has left the eastern seaboard. Tomorrow a high maintains a position over Tasmania, while a cold front approaches the Bight. Surface troughs remain over the far west. The winds west to southwesterly reaching 20 to 30 knots in the south, more westerly in the afternoon and swells to 4 metres. A warning for you, a strong wind warning from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point, a bit blowy in the south. And for Hobart tomorrow, cloudy, a top of 18 degrees. Huonville cloudy as well, and 17, 18 the top for Campania. Launceston, partly cloudy and 20, 19 the high for Devonport. Mostly sunny for Georgetown with 19 the top as well. Burnie partly cloudy and 18, 16 the high for Strawn, another shower in the west. Wynyard a bit of cloud and 18 degrees. And for St Helens tomorrow, partly cloudy and 19, 18 the top for Swansea and Port Arthur. A bit of cloud but fine. Fine on Saturday until showers develop in the west in the afternoon. On into Sunday we go, and fine again, just the chance of a shower over the east in the morning and maybe again later in the afternoon for that same area. Fine and mostly sunny on Monday. Mostly sunny too in Perth tomorrow, 25 degrees. Sunny also in Adelaide, Brisbane, Darwin and Broome. Partly cloudy weather for Melbourne and a late shower for Sydney. Over Hobart at the moment, but 13 degrees, Launceston 12 and clear, and Devonport partly cloudy and 12 degrees. Joe, that's the weather for this Thursday. Yes, yesterday being a day off, I thought today was Monday, yesterday was Sunday, but that's what happens when you get old and doddery like me.
Yes, we're quite used to you being completely confused, Murph, that's all right. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.